Minimax Hailuo 2, native 1080p resolution, improved prompt coherency, better dynamics, cinematic, lifelike results. And it is said to rival Kling 2.1 and even VO3. Is it all hype? Let's find out.
So today I thought we'd do something different yet fun. I developed 3 categories with a whole bunch of prompts to see just how well this model performs. Now I'm not into the detailed reviews. I think Helena does a stellar job on those. Let us know in the comments below if you want her to review Hailuo that way as well. And the way I have this set up is that I generated 2 videos per prompt, and they're very simple prompts, okay, because I like to see how a model performs with simple prompts and then build on that. And each clip is the 6-second 1080p variant. Now, instead of boring you with the prompts, I'm going to leave a link in the description below with all the prompts that I used, and I'll also put them on the screen for you. With that being said, let's jump right in, and the first category is prompt coherency. I've got 3 simple prompts. The first one is with this golden retriever wearing a red scarf. So based on the prompt, you see the first one worked out. The second one, he jumped backwards. But at least one of the 2, the prompt coherency was very accurate. On to the next one with this man with a supposedly glowing umbrella. We see that the second one adhered to the prompt a lot better, especially with the glowing umbrella. And then we have the neon lights in the background, so I would say that's a good pass. This prompt is set up to be split screen, so that'll be really interesting. The split screen worked well and adhered to the prompt. It's just the way this guy was holding a sword here before he attacked. The second one, there was no action and he's holding 2 swords, but for the most part, it got the general idea, so I'd say this is a good pass too. These next few prompts, I listed them as variety because they're sort of unusual. And the first one here we see, it does adhere to the prompt very well, sort of like what a kid would imagine. And in the second clip, we see that there's more color to the whales. And if we look in the background of the paper cities, sort of cardboard-like, I would definitely give check marks to both. Next up, we have an alien jazz concert on a glass planet, vibrant lighting along with some odd instruments. And yeah, I kind of dig the second one a bit more than the first one, but we definitely achieved what we were set out to do with this prompt. This prompt was very interesting to do from caveman to cyberpunk city, and for the most part, I think it got the general idea. However, it's sort of like it built around it, and 6 seconds isn't enough time for it to process, so I can definitely give this one a pass. Let's take a look at that second one. There we go. We get a nice zoom out and sort of a fade in. Kind of works, but it's very interesting how both clips are different and how the model interprets it. This next section is on style, and the first one is cinematic style with this astronaut walking on Mars. Definitely looks very cinematic. Definitely picked up the lens flare we see here. Let's take a look at the other one. Different angle, and we see that the gravity doesn't depict that they're on Mars. Obviously, it's a really simple prompt, so we'd probably have to build on that prompt, but looks very cinematic. This one's a fun one, anime rooftop chase. Definitely has that anime feel, and they're jumping off the rooftop there, sort of parkour style. Very cool, and I like how he jumps over the guy earlier in the clip here, like here, jumps on his shoulder. That's pretty cool. The second clip is very interesting, the perspective, or actually the composition, how they start at the bottom and then they jump up on the top there. That's really cool. Next is Pixar style, and for some reason this reminds me of Astrobot, the game of the year from this past Game Awards, I believe. But it got everything down from the colorful forest to the expressive face. Now, mind you, it's blinking because he only has eyes. This one looks a bit more washed out. I mean, it's still colorful, but it still honors that 3D Pixar style. We're going to take a look at motion and camera, and this is supposed to be first person parkour, but I don't know. These guys have a death wish and they're just jumping off the roof. So we definitely have the first person perspective, but we don't see the guy jumping on the rooftops there. So this is definitely one of those cases where the prompt is too simple. Let's take a look at the other one here. Okay. Hey. So whoever's recording this isn't actually doing the parkour, and the guys that are doing parkour aren't doing a very good job. This is supposed to be a drone flying through a castle siege, dodging arrows, and instead we have sort of an arrow-like thing flying around. That's definitely not a drone, so this one's a big fail. There we go. This one looks more like a drone. Oh, what happened to the propellers? Oh, there we go. Okay, so this one I'd say passes. You see the arrows flying through. That's pretty cool. Maybe when it stops here, maybe, yeah, the arrow hits it or something, but pretty good. Pretty good. On to narrative progression, and then we have a caterpillar morphing into a butterfly. Although it does indeed do that, it does it in a way that's quite unusual, actually. It doesn't look like that in real life. Let's take a look at the other clip. Now, this one kind of looks like it, yeah, but then it, happens too fast. Once again, it's only 6 seconds, but it kind of got the idea. So I'd say this is barely a pass. Definitely an interesting take on morphing caterpillars to butterflies. The detective here definitely finds some sort of clue and takes off, but I really love the cinematic feel of Hailuo too. All the other clips that I've done that were cinematic look really good, just like we see in this example here. And one of the things I'd like to point out is that if you look at the people in the background, they're not jumbled up how they normally are. Now, we don't see faces, but they walk complete, they're pacing is right. This model has really vastly improved in my opinion. Next, we're going to take a look at facial and emotional expression. This was done in a Pixar style, and we see her smile there, her eyebrows moving, the eyes, her reaction towards the end there that gets cut off. Again, we see this washing out of colors. I've noticed this quite a bit with this model, but it does follow the prompt as requested with the big smile. And watch the eyes. Towards the end, it looks like she's tearing up. If that's on purpose, that's pretty cool. Now, this one I should have changed. In the prompt, the samurai is supposed to be stoic, and stoic is like the default look, but I left it anyway. At least here we see that he blinks, he looks focused. But as for the anime style, it looks more 3D CGI than anime. The prompt's probably just too simple, and maybe we need to emphasize a certain anime style to get that look. Speaking of anime, here's a Studio Ghibli style clip where the next 3 prompts will be focused on style transfer. And even though this is a spaceship, we can clearly see that it has that Studio Ghibli style. This one is inspired by Blade Runner. It's got that nice cinematic, the moodiness and the atmosphere. I really like this one because it's landing and the gears come down, the lights come up and glow. That's really cool. Very cinematic. The next style is based off Salvador Dali, and it may look a bit weird to you, and that's on purpose. Dali was a Spanish surrealist painter and printmaker known for exploring subconscious imagery. A lot of his work was kind of out there, and his artwork had that unique alien sort of look to it. Very unique art. Now we're getting into the second category, which I focused on dynamics. The first set of prompts is going to look at action dynamics, and we see here this martial artist not really performing the spinning roundhouse kick. He's kind of just kicking on one leg there. I mean, the kicking motion looks great, but yeah, he's not doing what we're expecting. Now, the second one, although it's slow motion, is a lot closer. But what I'm most impressed about is the actual body and anatomy movement. If you look at around the waist on his kicking leg and you see how his flesh bunches up there and the way his upper body contorts the other way. That looks so realistic. Next, we have some cars drifting, Fast and the Furious style. This looks very cinematic. Now, it does look a bit CGI, especially this part where you can see the car a bit closer. In the second clip here, you could really see the sparks and how it's drifting around the other car. I love the wet streets in the background, but it does look like a high-end video game to my eyes. I was really interested to see how this would interpret Michael Bay. I'm a big Transformers fan, and it does have that aesthetics from Michael Bay's Transformers. For this clip, it does adhere to the prompt pretty well, but in the second clip, yeah, we have a floating robot out of control. I mean, everything else looks great, but the robot here, yeah, he's probably out of commission and on his way to die. Now we're going to take a look at acrobatics, and this is something Hailuo is really speaking highly about, and for the most part, I would say, out of all the video models that I've seen, the acrobatics on Hailuo is very good. Now, you do see, especially in the beginning, it's almost like she's attached to a string and there's this weird motion at first, but once she gets to tumbling, it actually looks really good. It's not perfect, but probably the best acrobatics I've seen so far. Now, it's not perfect. See, once it gets going, it's really good. But in the beginning there's some morphing of the body. And even as she gets through about at this point, it kind of loses where the body is. And it's like you're missing a few frames. But in terms of the motion and the movement, that's super impressive. So we're trying the parkour thing again, and yeah, it's not working. I was cracking up when I first saw this. This model's capable of doing parkour. It's just these simple prompts aren't doing it justice. It's quite comedic. This guy just doesn't want to bother. He's like, parkour? Let me just jump through the window. Now this, I was very impressed. The bounce of the rope, how he's walking backwards, and now he's not holding the stick how they normally do, but looks very believable. There is a bit of wobble in the background, and once again, you see that washed out look. But looking at the second clip here, we see that the motion's not as believable. He's kind of just bouncing there, but there's a bit more color in it, and it still looks cinematic. Onto first person motion. As amazing as this clip is, it looks fantastic. It's not first person. It looks like we're the cameraman following this guy. But seeing the snow spray and the way he's snowboarding is very believable. Here we get a first person view and we see the other guy snowboarding in front of us there. Looks like he almost hits the bank, and his buddy there pops out of the snowbank, which is pretty hilarious. I thought this was a fun prompt. First person perspective of someone wearing a wingsuit flying through this narrow canyon. That's super scary. And you can really see it in this clip here. And it looks like his buddy's about to crash there into the rocks. Onto cinematic action. I really liked how this one came out, except for the stuff flying out of their swords there. I guess it's supposed to mimic that they're hitting the bamboo, but there shouldn't be any bamboo in the way. One thing I've noticed with fight scenes with Hailuo, they actually hit each other. With Claim 2.1, they don't hit each other. Now they're using swords here, but at least they're touching. This one didn't turn out too well. They're kind of just almost dancing around here and not really having a sword fight. The camera movement, the environment looks great. This is supposed to be an escape scene and definitely a flop, and he contorts into a weird thing over here. But he has no sense of urgency, really. In this clip, it looks more like a video game, and yeah, he's not escaping nothing, and that's a sorry attempt for a jump. Onto stylized action anime style. I thought this turned out really well. In the beginning, it's a little unclear what's going on there, but as it progresses, the action is vivid, and I like the lightsaber style swords that they're fighting with. This one's got a bit of a different style, but it has that quick action anime feel to it. And yes, some of the details get lost, but considering where we were just a few months ago, in terms of action, it's looking very promising. This is termed as stylized waifu action. They're supposed to be battling mid-air wuxia style. I think that's how you pronounce it. And yeah, they're battling mid-air, but it still looks like they're standing on something. So I don't think it's depicting what it's supposed to. If I can think back to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, I think it's supposed to look like that. And this one had more of an anime vibe to it. And this one's a bit more believable on the second half of the clip when the camera motion happens. But very interesting style. I gotta look into prompting this better so it looks more accurate. On to the next category, jiggle physics. And it's not what you think. It's supposed to highlight body movement, the clothing they're wearing, subtle movements. So in this example, if we look at the motion of the spin, how the hair is reacting, the dynamics of the clothing, even the strange pose she has. This footage here was more in line of what I was thinking. Look at her hair, the wrinkles of the clothing and how it loosely fits her body. And I will say the hands look great, the positioning looks accurate, even the dramatic lighting. Here we have a woman running in the forest, her hair movement, the upper body, even the way her feet bounce off the ground. And if you look at the side of her hips, you can see how the thighs bounce from the impact of the ground. And you can see it even more here with this clip. If you look at the thighs and how the muscles tense, looks very natural and very believable. Now, one thing I've noticed with AI videos is when people laugh and smile, it looks very fake. If you look at his knees, they're kind of bouncing there. And even you see a little bit of movement in his chest. This one is really believable from the stomach and her chest moving as she giggles. She's got a double chin happening there and squinty eyes. Very natural looking. This one I would say is a complete fail. According to the prompt, the person's supposed to jump, and you know how the body reacts to the jump. This just looks like she busted up her back and she's in severe pain. And this one, I'm not even gonna comment on. That's a bit too much jiggle physics there, buddy. I don't know what the heck he's doing. The previous clip and this one is supposed to mimic natural body movement, and these boxer clips are a lot more believable. Again, if you look at the muscles, how they tense, the glare from the gloves and the sweat on his forehead and body. And in this one, he's kind of like faking and feinting, and then he finally throws a right hook. And if you look at the ropes around him moving and bouncing, it definitely mimics real life motion. Onto cloth and soft body dynamics, we can see how the wind blows against the dress here. She's walking very relaxed and gracefully. Same thing with this one, except we have the wind blowing the other way, and it's really impressive how the dress reacts to the wind. You would think her hair would be reacting to the wind, wouldn't it? But if we take a look at the prompt, there was nothing that instructed the hair to move, just the dress. The old jumping on the trampoline test looks very realistic, except that's a pretty small trampoline. The background and as it bounces, how it affects the mesh of the trampoline, that's pretty cool. And for this one, in terms of subtle movements, I wanted to see a dog jumping on the couch, see how the impact of the sofa cushion reacts, the fur, and how he wags his tail. This one isn't as believable. Instead of wagging his tail, he's kind of humping the couch there. Take it easy, buddy. Now, overall, I would say for text to video, Hailuo passes with flying colors. We've come a long way with text to video from even just 6 months ago. And seeing what this model is capable of with image to video, I suspect it'll be even better. Now, if you're wondering how it stacks up to Kling 2.1 or even VO3, make sure to check out Helena's videos right here. As always, my friends, let me know what you think in the comments below. Until that next video, I'll see you when I see you.